Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo commends African Development Bank for supporting the development of the Northeast as he commissions the bank's new office complex in Abuja. National Economic Council sets up committee to find lasting solution to clashes between herdsmen and farmers all over the country. Social-cultural groups in southern Nigeria challenge state governors across the country to enact anti-open grazing law. And U.S. President Donald Trump denies changing his views on building border wall on Mexico following claims he was uninformed before making promise. Now do remember that for more on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. And log on to m.channelstv.com to watch us on your mobile device, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. The Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have access to the Eyewitness feature, with which you can share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and then follow the instructions. Let's take a look at the pictures that were sent into our portal today. And first is this one sent in from Wasimi in Osun State, showing an accident scene. Our eyewitness reporter is calling on concerned authorities to ensure that drivers are more careful on the roads. And next is this one from Ikpaja here in Lagos State, which shows a heap of refuse. Our eyewitness reporter wants the authorities to clean this up. And we can end with this picture of refuse from the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway. Our eyewitness reporter is calling on the relevant authorities to clean up the streets soon. Thanks for sending in all your pictures, and do send us some more soon. The Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose is asking every resident in the state to find ways of living together in peace, irrespective of their state of origin. Mr. Fayose made this known during a meeting to broker peace among some residents over farmland and cattle grazing.
Ekiti State in southwest Nigeria has had its reported taste of attacks on its farmlands by suspected herdsmen. That was before passing its anti-open grazing law on Monday, August the 29th, 2016.
I'm going to take a bill to the House of Assembly. I'm going to criminalize it. I'm going to ensure that this thing stops.
Governor Ayodele Fayose's reason of enacting that law is to check the excesses of some herdsmen and to protect the lives and property of residents. That law could well have paid off, as the state hasn't had any recent case of attack on farms and farmers.
I don't want this thing to get past that. When it gets past,
now, the governor is calling this meeting in his office to broker peace among some farmers and herders.
They command cow to be pursuing us.
There are accusations and counter-accusations among some farmers and herdsmen over the issue.
Last year, they spoiled 5 hectares of cassava. So this year also they spoiled 10 hectares now. They try to kill me.
If you see this one farm, nothing remains. You see, these 3 people now then get fought for Ekiti. When they gather themselves, no any plan. Let us talk the reality.
If we keep silent as we leader, we know our people. I mean, living in Ekiti, I tell people several times, my family is here. My this year complete 3 wife in Ado here, and I have 8 children. So if anything happens in Ekiti, it don't happen to me.
Whatever the side of the story these people adopt, what the governor wants is peaceful coexistence.
What's going on in Benue is not going on in Ekiti and should not be brought here. When you want to enter Ekiti State, when you get to Omo, drop Benue there, drop Fulani there, drop Kogi there, drop Abuja there, drop Oyo there. Whether you are Fulani, you are TV, you are anything, I am your governor. I cannot accept anybody to be killed.
While he expects that this meeting has gone a long way to make for peace, Governor Ayodele Fayose has fixed another meeting for the weekend.
Let's cross over to Abuja now. Here's Ibrahim Adra. Ibrahim.
Hello, Ijoma. Good to see you. Now, let's begin from the courts. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has lost the suit it initiated in the Federal High Court in Abuja to challenge its prescription by the federal government. The acting chief judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Abdul Kafarati, held that the application was properly brought before the court as an ex parte motion by the Attorney General. He also ruled that the rights of fair hearing and freedom of association of IPOB was not abused because all that was needed for such an application to be heard was the approval of the president, which was properly gotten. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor reports.
Issues of letter written by transmitted by the president, which is required to be signed by the president himself, was not discussed before this court. So the court apparently abandoned the major issues of concern. It should be resolved and formulated the issue that will enable the court to arrive at the decision just delivered. Apart from the fact that the courts never discussed issues of IPOB, character of IPOB. These are largely people who are exercising the right to self-determination as constituted under the constitution and laws, Western laws, and they are not using weapons. They are non-violent. They have no history of violence in any form. Today we are talking about felon herdsmen who are killing and slaughtering people all over the places, and they've not been proscribed. They've not been tagged as IPOB member as a terrorist group. Rather, they are being referred by the federal government as a common criminals. So we are going to appeal to challenges. We know when we get to appeal, we can resolve all these things.
The Senate has stepped down the consideration of the bill on the National Roads Fund, asking the Committee on Works to make further consultations on it. Some of the recommendations of the bill includes multiple taxes, a 5 naira levy on every litre of petrol and diesel imported or refined in the country. Members of the Senate argued extensively on the bill, stressing that in the end, the interest of Nigerians will be protected.
Passengers in the country have for a long time had to spend long hours on journeys that may take few hours owing to bad roads. The National Roads Fund, as proposed by the National Assembly, seeks to address this challenge.
In our interactive session
At the Senate plenary, members of the upper legislative chamber took a look at the bill, but not without some raising concerns.
This cannot be accommodated. I quite agree with the fund. I have no problems with it. But the only thing is you cannot eat your cake and have it. We cannot say we want to sell fuel at 145 and we are talking of constructing roads with the levy from fuel prices. So let us just know where we are going to. If we are deregulated, this thing is perfect, it's quite in order.
There must be a fund for the maintenance of our roads so that Nigerians stop dying on the road and we can have a good road to apply.
Meanwhile, before taking the first order of the day, a new member of the Senate takes his oath of office.
And therefore allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as a member of the Senate, I will perform my duties.
Members of the Legislative Chamber also announced the postponement of the National Security Summit, previously scheduled to hold on January 24th and 25th. The summit was postponed indefinitely during the Thursday's plenary after Senate Leader Ahmed Lawal cited Order 53, subsection 6, and sought for a 2-week extension of the summit.
The time between now and then is too short for this Senate to organize a very good and solid national summit. The Senate should have, this committee needs more time so that we organize a summit that is worth its name and get the proper outcome.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that we send this back to the committee for more legislative work, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it.
It will be recalled that the Senate had resolved to suspend plenary for 2 days to hold Security Summit, which will focus on farmers, pastoralist clashes, kidnapping, and other forms of violent crimes in the country.
The fuel situation in Abuja, the nation's capital, is getting worse as hundreds of motorists continue to spend long hours at petrol stations. When our crew went around the city, most stations were shut and those dispensing were crowded as motorists struggled to get petrol. Those who spoke to Channels Television lamented the long hours they have spent on queue and asked the government to take steps to address the situation.
Actually, I don't know the cause of this, but for over since December, this fuel scarcity started. I've been here since morning, since around 9 o'clock, queuing from the other side to here for me to get fuel. So we find it difficult.
It's terrible and very bad, this situation that the people are suffering to get fuel. I've been here since around 10 and almost 4. Well, luckily, I'll be getting fuel by now and be going. And it's terrible, the situation. The government should do something about it.
We think that Nigerians, they should talk to our minister so that they to look for our help. Because we are suffering for fuel since about 2 hours now in the queue. There's no fuel. They don't want some time they sell for Okada.
It will be better if the queue reduces. And equally, if fuel is made available in other filling stations to alleviate the sufferings of the masses. But by and large, I sincerely believe that the government is attending to issues.
And on health-related stories, schools in Ebonyi State have been shut for a few days to stop the spread of Lassa fever. This decision comes days after the death of 3 medical officials and a patient from the virus. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Daniel Umerike, says 139 confirmed cases have been placed under surveillance.
We have 9 confirmed cases, and 4 people have lost their lives, and 3 of them are health workers. 2 medical doctors, but one of the doctors also had comorbidities. He's a known diabetic and a known hypertensive, so that also made him to go down faster. Then the other one, a nurse. So, but the ones that are on treatment now, 4 of them, they are doing well and responding to treatment. We have traced it to one of the settlements in Abakaliki area here called Upholds, and we have done the contact tracing. So we have actually mapped out the areas that some of these cases emanate from, and they include Upholds, Nkaliki and Afikpo. So we are working intensively to ensure that we search for any new case, and also we place people that have had contact with them on surveillance, and do public enlightenment to tell them about the preventive measures.
And that's it from Abuja Studios. But when the News at 10 returns, tears and lamentation as Lagos State government pulls down illegal structures and shanties in Ojota and Ogudu area of the state. Do join us again.